Alright, I'm going to start doing another tutorial, part 2 of our service for the Massey Ferguson GC1705. What I'm going to do now is start trying to show you where all of the grease fittings are on this tractor, so it's a little bit easier to. Coming from the left side, as we are sitting on the tractor, there are about 3 or 4 grease fittings. They're somewhat hard to see. Let's see if I can find it. Well, here's the one on the brake shaft that goes all the way across. This little grease fitting here. When I greased mine, the grease fitting actually fell out, so I had to redo that. It's like it wasn't tight. Alright, on the lift arms for the mower deck, if you follow those up, here is the lift arm. At the back, you can see the grease fittings here, and there's an identical one on the far side. Onto the right side, if you can see, this is the right side of the tractor. This is your forward and reverse hydrostatic foot pedals, the bottom side, and there's a grease fitting on that as well. And then again, grease fitting here for the lift arm on the right side of the tractor as you're sitting on the tractor. Looking at the tractor's underside, one thing I really wanted to show. I do a lot of work on the little Kubota tractor. Here's one I'm rebuilding, reworking. It's got a bad transmission. I see this all the time. This is the transmission input from the engine. It has a small fan here that turns and blows on these fins. These fins are critical to keeping the transmission cool. This is how it cools it, with this little fan. It blows against these fins. And I see all the time these are just matted up with grass. It's really important that every once in a while you check this, but also I blow out. I take a high-speed air yard blower and blow it out. Another part of the service is doing just the simple things. Checking the air in the tires. You get 20 psi in the rear tires and 22 in the front tires. And this is really important, especially with a loader. If you got the tire under pressured, it'll cause the tire to possibly pop off of the rim. There's another issue too, is if you don't have enough air pressure in the tires, the correct pressure in the tires, if you get into those hills, you're more likely to turn over or lose control because the tires are a little bit too spongy. I have known people that live in the mountains to even run the pressure higher in their tires than what's called for, so they do have more side stability. Tractor loader grease points are identical on both sides, but I'll go ahead and point them out. Pretty obvious. You got your two at the bottom. Don't go crazy. A couple shots of grease per zert will be. We're going to start serving this on our deck now. And I'll start off by saying this is absolutely the most improper way that you could possibly do this. However, it's probably the most efficient way that you could do this. matter if they're really that clean for open, like bucket pins. If these bearings right here, these grease fittings go to needle bearings. So you gotta make sure you clean these off. If you don't, when you grease them, you're going to push dirt right into those needle bearings. And that's a guaranteed failure. This one is just a pivot pin. I clean them off anyway, but it's not critical. And your final spindle bearing. Now these are all clean. On this there are grease fitting here, grease fitting here, a grease fitting here. There is a grease fitting on the underside of this yoke, and then there's a grease fitting on this yoke, and then you need to grease the shaft of the drive shaft going to the mower. And then your last grease fitting on your deck is over here. Okay, now we're going to fill the gearbox up on the mower deck, and as you can see, there's two plugs. Truthfully, this is the drain plug and this is the fill plug. When it's to this level, the gearbox is full. It'll run back out just a little bit, and you can see how it would make a terrible mess by just draining down into the bottom of the deck. So when I hang it upside downwards or on the side, it drains off this way, and it's not really that messy. Just wipe the front of it off and you're good. Once I get this all put back together, I'll go ahead and do a complete power wash on all of this.